Another one of my favorite movies is Misery. James Caan plays a writer who gets in a car accident and is taken into the house of Annie Wilkes, who turns out to be his number one fan. Annie takes good care of the writer and helps and makes sure that he gets the utmost care. However, Annie has a nasty plan for her. She wants the writer to write her own personal book about the character Misery, and so the writer does. The writer spends most of his time in Annie's house writing the book. However, when he does something that Annie doesn't like, Annie lets him show it and takes her anger out on him. Knowing that he can't take it anymore, the writer wants out and he's going to try by any means to get out of the house. This movie is the definition of suspense and shock. You have no idea what Annie is going to do to the writer. At first, Annie is presented as such a kind and loving character, but then turns into a psychotic freak. Kathy Bates does an amazing job, and she truly deserves an Oscar for her performance. And James Caan does an amazing job as the writer too, because he truly shows that he really wants out and away from this mad woman. This movie is a good example because this is probably a lot of famous people's worst fears of being stuck in the home of their obsessive number one fans, but then the number one fans do scary things to them. This is, in my opinion, this is Rob Reiner's best movie, and I recommend it to anyone who loves horror and just loves watching movies about psychotic freaks. Another one of my favorite movies is The Shining. In my opinion, Stanley Kubrick's greatest movie. Jack Nicholson takes his family to take care of a huge hotel that previous caretakers went on mass killing sprees and killed their families. Jack Torrance tries his very hard to keep sanity, but slowly he starts to go mad and leads up to a mass killing spree that is inflicted by him. What I like so much about this movie is it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. A lot of scary images just happen and appear out of nowhere, and you have no idea why they're there. They just appear. And in my opinion, that is the scariest kind of horror. Things that you don't know what's going on. That is, in my opinion, that is the scariest kind of horror. And Jack Nicholson does a phenomenal job as Jack Torrance because you actually believe he is going insane. And that's what Jack Nicholson is best at. Characters that are losing in touch with reality and are just going insane. If you're going to watch The Shining, be warned. It's a long movie and there are a few slow spots. But if you stick into it long enough, you'll never forget it. I can promise you that. Is truly one of the scariest movies of all time. Another one of my favorite movies is A Hard Day's Night. This movie is basically a day in the life of the Beatles as they try to have a normal life but are always constantly being chased by crazy obsessive fangirls. What I love about this movie is I can't believe how great of actors the Beatles are. They are so good. You actually believe everything they do. Not only are they good musicians, they're amazing actors. I wish other musicians were good at acting. Basically, this movie is an awesome movie about musicians. You wouldn't expect it to be good because a lot of movies about musicians aren't that good, but this one is phenomenal. All four Beatles are hilarious, and this movie just has a lot of funny moments in it. Not to mention a lot of Beatles songs to keep Beatles fans occupied. This truly is a film that I recommend to any Beatles fans, or fans of classic comedy. Another one of my favorite movies is Labyrinth. Yeah, Jim Henson's greatest achievement. Jennifer Connelly stars as this teenage girl who's babysitting her baby brother. But the baby brother annoys her enough that she just wishes that he's taken away by the Goblin King. Well, be careful what you wish for, because David Bowie comes in and kidnaps him, and it's up to Jennifer Connelly to get her baby brother back as she goes through David Bowie's maze of crazy monster puppets, puzzles, and just weird stuff, period. What I love about this movie is it's also an example of childhood imagination and innocence. What kid does not think about this kind of stuff to happen when they go on adventures? This movie is awesome because I just love puppets, and I love all the puppet effects and puppets and stuff like that. This movie has been dismissed by critics over the years because they take it too seriously. people. It's David Bowie and a bunch of puppets. How serious can you get? Speaking of David Bowie, he does an amazing job as Jared, and his singing also helps to keep the movie flowing nice and smoothly. And a lot of the stuff that Jennifer Connelly runs in truly is a surprise, so I'm not going to spoil anything. It truly is an escape from reality, and isn't that truly what movies are about? Anyone who doesn't like this movie deserves to be banished to the bog of eternal stench. Another one of my favorite movies is An American Tail. Out of all Don Bluth's movies, I know it's cliche for people to say that The Secret of NIMH is their favorite, but I decided to go with An American Tail. Fievel the Mouse and his family are immigrating from Russia to America in the early 1900s, where immigration was to America was all a craze. However, on the way over there, Fievel gets separated from his family, except he tries to find them. However, he goes through a lot of scary situations and trials and tribulations to try and find his family. At one point, he just gives up and doesn't want to find them anymore. However, he keeps pushing and pushing, and he's not going to give up until he finds his family. And he meets a lot of interesting characters along his way. I love this movie because when you were a little kid, what was the scariest thing that you ever could have thought of happening to you? You being separated from your parents. Because as a little kid, you cannot take care of yourself in the world, and there's a lot of things that could happen to you that it truly is an uncomfortable feeling. Not to mention, this film is also really, really sad. I never cry during movies, but this one almost had me coming close. For a Don Bluth movie, it truly is his saddest picture to date, because tugging at kids' and adults' heartstrings truly is what he's good at, and a kid being separated from his family truly is the biggest tear at a heartstring that anyone could get to. Not to mention that a lot of the songs are good and the voice acting is phenomenal. My only complaint is it's really short, but it's still one of my favorite movies and Don Bluth's crowning achievement in my opinion. Anyone who does not think this movie is sad does not have a heart. Another one of my favorite movies is King Kong. Oh heck yeah. It's about a group of these explorers that go to an island to film a movie where a supposed monster is. However, not believing that the monster is actually there, they're pleasantly surprised when they go there, and not only is a giant ape named King Kong there being worshipped by a bunch of natives, but there's also dinosaurs and a bunch of other weird creatures that nobody's ever seen before. However, they later catch King Kong and bring him back to New York, but that turned out being a big mistake as he tears up the whole place. What I love about this movie is it inspired a lot of filmmakers back then, and it truly was one of the hardest movies to make at that. This movie invented so many other cool techniques, and it was at a time when sound films were at their infancy, and not once is there a quiet moment. Yeah, most people wouldn't know that I'm preferably a Godzilla fan, but I love King Kong too, because if it wasn't for King Kong, there would be no Godzilla. King Kong is not just a mindless monster movie. It has a story, and the message is clear. It's not guns and ammo that kills beasts, it's beauty that kills them. Another one of my favorite movies is Star Wars: A New Hope. Out of all the Star Wars movies, I had to pick one, and I just had to go with A New Hope. Because at this time, this was the first Star Wars movie that people seen. It was something that people have never seen before, which also, this is a Star Wars movie I saw most as a kid, and everything that I saw was just amazing for my childhood mind. I loved everything about this movie. The aliens, Luke Skywalker, the gunfight, the lightsaber battles, Ben Kenobi, Darth Vader, everything. I don't know anyone on the face of the earth that doesn't like Star Wars, or that this is definitely my favorite Star Wars movie, because it set the tone for all the other Star Wars movies, and it also is a big factor on my childhood. I didn't give away the plot because I'm pretty sure everybody has seen this movie, so they pretty much already know what it is. And as a kid, I really didn't appreciate everything, but now as an adult, I really can. I can appreciate all the acting and the characters and the funny moments and stuff like that, which is why Star Wars: A New Hope is one of my favorite movies. Another one of my favorite movies is Clash of the Titans. I wanted to pick another Ray Harryhausen movie to be on this list, but I haven't seen any of them in a long time, so I can't give an opinion on them. So I just decided to go with this one. Clash of the Titans is basically an adaptation of the Greek story of Perseus, the son of Hercules, as he goes through his adventure of killing Medusa and slaying the Kraken. For a typical Harryhausen movie, this movie relies more on stop-motion effects and fantasy factor than acting and stuff like that, but a lot of the actors do an amazing job. Harry Hamlin is great as Perseus, and Burgess Meredith does a good job as Perseus's mentor. Ray Harryhausen was at his best with these stop-motion effects, with a lot of creatures to choose from. My favorite's Medusa because of all the snakes that Ray Harryhausen had to animate on her hair. And not one moment is she standing still. She is constantly moving, and she is just plain creepy. I don't want to look into her eyes. So anyway, Clash of the Titans is an amazing fantasy movie that's sure to please any fan of Greek mythology, and any fan of Ray Harryhausen movies. Another one of my favorite movies is Jurassic Park. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen this movie, but I might as well give the plot in. Basically, these scientists find out a way to bring dinosaurs back to life, and they decide to make a theme park out of it. However, the worst case scenario happens, and the dinosaurs come loose and go on a rampage, killing and eating everybody in their sight. What I love about this movie is it's CGI done right. The CGI effects are amazing, and they actually look like they're real. I wish more CGI effects from today could be done like this. I mean, this movie was made in the early 90s, and it looks better than a lot of CGI movies today. The reason why I love Jurassic Park so much is every kid back then loved dinosaurs, and this movie basically is the dinosaur movie. It also sets the example that playing God is a no-no, and that if you try to bring things back to life, then you are screwed. Jurassic Park is my favorite Steven Spielberg movie, and it definitely is one of my all-time favorite movies. Another one of my favorite movies is Matango. A lot of you probably never heard of it, but it's from the guys who made the original Godzilla movie. A group of people get shipwrecked on this island, and there's barely any food to survive, and they try to survive. When they eat up a majority of the edible food, some of them find these edible mushrooms. However, when they eat the mushrooms, they start to turn into these crazy mushroom people called Matango, slowly all descend into madness. This movie is not only a great entertaining monster movie, it's a big example about how when you're shipwrecked you can't trust anybody. Every person will try their best to just survive and forget about you. This movie truly is a masterpiece of director Ishiro Honda. And I could have easily filled this film up with a lot of Godzilla movies or movies directed by him, but I felt that would have been too redundant and too easy. So, if you can find this movie, I highly recommend it